Hey everyone, now this senior correspondent Varsha Sharma here. We're coming to you live for the final day of the DNC. It's going to be tonight. You can watch it on NowThis streaming platforms right here on Instagram, but also on Facebook, on YouTube, on the Democratic Convention website. Joe Biden will formally accept the nomination to be the Democratic presidential tonight. So it's a presidential candidate tonight. So it's a big night. And we're going to be hearing from some other former presidential candidates as well who will be joining us. If you just, follow the Now This Politics Instagram, I hope maybe you've followed some of our content there. You can see that we actually just spoke to Andrew Yang, the former presidential candidate. He's going to be kicking things off tonight. And we have another former candidate who's going to be joining us shortly. So let us know in the comments if you have any questions. But I want to know what you guys have thought about the DNC so far and what you found interesting or compelling. An interesting week because it's an all virtual convention. But thank you for making it available. You're very welcome. And we look forward to hearing more of what you guys think tonight. And we have Senator Cory Booker who's joining us. Thank you so much. How are you?
All right. How am I? Last night, Kamala Harris delivered an acceptance speech, and I had to. I'm admitting this. Had to reach for a box of tissues. I got so happy.
Yeah, I understand. You've served with her in the Senate for a couple of years now. You guys have a close friendship, I think. You're one of 3 Black senators out of 100, which is remarkable in a bad way. So I want to hear a little bit more about how it felt watching her make history like this.
Well, clearly you're right. I have a deep friendship with her and her husband. Both she and Doug are extraordinary people. I've been blessed to have them in my life. And so there was definitely that. I think I would be excited about anybody from my close circle of friends who became vice president of the United States. But there's something much deeper when you know who Kamala is. You know her pathway to get to the presidency. As Langston Hughes said in his poem, Mother to Son, life ain't been no crystal stair. She has had to earn every inch of ground that she's gained, and she gained it in service of others, in showing that all the hate that was spewed upon her, the lies, that she showed like Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies, but still, like the very dust, I'll rise. So I just have seen her overcome so much, prove herself over and over again. And it is a moment that our ancestors are rejoicing, and generations yet unborn are going to look back to her ascendancy as such an important milestone in America, and further reveal this truth about this country that we've all must continue to work to make real, which is that anybody can achieve anything in this country. And so I know that she also has this dedication that I saw in the Senate, which is, hey, we're at this table, but we need to make sure that this table, that we're not the last, that we need to make sure that we stop counting the number of Black senators, that it becomes such a powerful reality that we lost count, the first Black president, the first Black vice president, that it actually begins to be a nation where we've widened the pathway to service and to leadership for more people, because we have so much talent out there on so many levels. That was just
Oh, I think you froze for just
a phenomenal moment.
So obviously she brings this historic level of representation and these breakthroughs. She's the first Black woman. She's also the first South Asian woman. She's also the first HBCU grad. There's a lot to celebrate about it. What do you think she brings in terms of, maybe political strength or policies to the ticket?
Look, she has lived a formidable life, accrued a set of skills, expertise that I've seen up close. Just her ability to work the Biden agenda through the Senate. I've watched her get difficult things done in a place where it's difficult to get things done. She has a toughness and a grit about her. She's really one of those people that as a vice president will be ready on day one should something unimaginable happen and she be needed to step up and serve. She has her campaign was wonderful. I was a competitor with her in the trenches, and she had a campaign on policy that was inspiring, that we all learned from some of the ideas that she put on the table on everything from criminal justice reform to healing the gap we have in America in maternal mortality between women of color and white women when it's even too high for white women. We as a nation are outliers on things like maternal mortality. So she has the policy detail, grit, expertise, not only to know to help Joe Biden with the pathway forward, but to know how to work to get us there.
Once Biden officially announced her as his running mate, were you surprised that we started to see birtherism 2.0 kind of launched against her? What was your reaction to that?
Listen, if you know American history, nobody should be surprised about scorn and viciousness attacking women, period. So anytime women rise in America, there has been outrageous opposition. And then a woman of color, that should further ensure that nothing that's going to be thrown at her can be surprised. To many people, her ascendancy is terrifying. And we know through the history what people do when they're scared of women. They try to, again, destroy them, crush them, demonize them, or worse. And so I'm not surprised on anything they're going to try to do to her. But what might surprise them is that Kamala Harris has seen this all her life, and she's still been able to rise to the highest levels of American service. And so I have so much confidence. If I'm a betting man, I will always bet on Kamala.
Now, you mentioned that you ran against her. You ran against Biden as well during the primary. What do you want people to know about Joe Biden as the Democratic presidential candidate?
Well, I think the first thing, first of all, I'm sorry to interrupt, but is that a Captain America shield behind me?
It is.
I'm a comic book guy. I just love comics. I love comic books. He's,
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I had to get it in the shot.
I know. I think maybe Joe Biden got a little bit of that super serum when he was a lot younger, because talk about a guy who's tough, who's made it through a lot. And I don't know if we discovered him in a block of ice and resurrected him, and now he is the new Captain America. I don't know. Stranger things have happened. But I tell you what, if people attack Kamala, I'm going to be more of the Hulk than a Captain America, and just be one of the people out there trying to smash. I can keep going down this.
No, I love it. I was going to say
Avengers.
you could be like Falcon, right? You could be the next Captain America, the first Black Captain America. I mean, that's a big deal too.
I absolutely agree that is I'm a Falcon fan. To see people of color as superheroes is always a very good thing. Okay, Joe Biden. I'm sorry, we got to get serious here. Although I'm yearning for, I tell you, just big blockbuster movies. That I remember we used to go to movie theaters.
I know. It used to be a fun thing that we could do. I don't think it's going to happen for the rest of the year. I mean, we are in an unprecedented situation right now.
No, they're sending things straight to video at home. And I in Newark we built with Shaquille O'Neal, actually, a great movie theater here in the Central Ward of Newark. It was this testimony of defiance for us to get this theater up and going, and it's just a wonderful neighborhood theater. And I miss that gathering of community in that way. So and art, as you know, as we saw great artists last night throughout this convention, art is not a nice add-on. Art is essential, especially in times of crisis and challenge and difficulty. And I've been amazed to see the way artistry has thrived in this pandemic and really challenged us and inspired us and fortified us. And I was giving an interview the other day about just art in schools and what my music lessons in school did to me. For a guy that you might not believe this, but I was terrified about speaking in front of people. And so having my, a music teacher push me into doing a school play, a musical, West Side Story, if you may know, if you want to know, was a life-changing experience for me to get on a stage and be forced to perform in front of a crowd and to get through my terror of speaking in front of people. So I love our culture, which is American culture is this incredible mix of so many streams. And now in America, you can see nods to African American culture, nods to Bollywood, nods to Latino culture. You see the wonderful sort of threads within the tapestry of who we are, manifesting in the most powerful cultural nation on the planet Earth, who exports. That's our number one export, is our art. and our artistry. So it's phenomenal. And frankly, this is in such a small area of our platform that people talk about, which is just funding for
Yeah.
the arts.
Yeah.
It's stunning to me that we don't talk about that more, that the Trump administration and others have been trying to slash this National Endowment of the Arts. I can go through the things that they are sort of assaulting. And we are a people that remembers that during the Depression, FDR, what did he do? He doubled down on the art. Some of the most amazing public art that we still love are murals that were done during that time, and Black and Latino artists that got chances to sustain themselves in ways that were incredible. So this is probably the only interview going on in America where we're talking about public art and this team's philosophy of funding the arts. And it is so vital and so important. But Joe Biden, look, the biggest distinguishing thing to him, to get back to your question, that was a long roundabout to get back
I
to your
like it
question.
though. It was important.
I,
You made an important point there.
yeah, and I needed some exercise. I needed to run around that big circle to get us back. I have, I'm one of those people that when I get stressed, I eat. And so this has been a long 6-month pandemic for me of being stressed
Yes.
and
Yes. I'm
eating
with
my
you
way
there.
of pandemics. And I never really used the platforms to deliver food. And I just realized how convenient it is to get everything I shouldn't be eaten delivered to my house. I'm vegan, but vegan junk food is now ubiquitous out there.
Oh.
And then for a while, when the Senate wasn't in session and I was alone, I kind of enjoyed, like, having the delivery person come to my house and say, Cory Booker, and I'm like, yeah, and get to have a chance to give a good conversation and give a big tip. As the people who are out there putting their lives on the line to deliver people like me vegan pizza at midnight. So,
I mean,
all right, Biden, behind the scenes, I'm telling you right now, the thing that makes me most excited about him aren't all of these pillars of his promises and platform, which I think are going to be extraordinary, especially if we get control of the United States Senate, which will make a lot of things more possible. But I think the thing that I've been most yearning for, and the reason I ran for the presidency, was because I think we as a nation are at each other's throats too much. We're so divided, and our politics have become so mean and nasty, where we dehumanize, demonize, and degrade each other so much that it makes it very difficult for us to do the big things. Remember, we're at our best as a nation when we come together with a larger sense of common purpose and common cause. Rugged individualism, self-reliance, these are wonderful things, but rugged individualism didn't get us to the moon, didn't map the human genome. Rugged individualism didn't beat the Nazis. We did these things when we come together with a spirit of grace and love, understanding that your destiny is interwoven with mine. You can't have some areas in America that have no access to quality public schools or to the internet and think you're going to compete globally against your global competitors who are doing a better job giving their children a better access to everything from healthcare all the way to broadband. So I just think that the thing that gives me most hope about Joe Biden as president is that he could help us all do what we need to do, which is usher in a revival of civic grace, a greater degree of decency, where we are inspired by the highest office in the land, not by a president who demeans, degrades, and attacks. His Twitter feed looks like a temper tantrum from somebody who is a lot less mature, but really have somebody that tries to his best and knows he's imperfect, but every day tries to inspire us in our goodness and our decency to each other.
I'm not surprised, but the all caps tweets that Trump was firing off during Barack Obama's speech last night still just kind of blew my mind. He was tweeting about, this guy spied on my campaign, and of course more untruths. And I mean, he's going to keep doing it through November. I mean, he hasn't changed his behavior in any way, which I think was a big part of Obama's speech. It was saying he treats the presidency like another reality show, not as something to serve the people.
I didn't read them. I
don't
didn't read
blame
his
you.
tweets. Like, why give that attention? And I just look down here at some of the comments. Some of them are come from the best of who we are, but some of them are people who just want to troll and put out darkness. And I love them anyway. I really do, because we're all Americans. Although a lot of people who are trolling these days, I've got the intelligence reports, are people in warehouses in places like Russia who know one of the best things they can do is go on our platforms and try to incite as much hate and negativity and darkness as possible, because that energy is viral, but so is kindness, and so is decency. So we've got to be watched. When I read intelligence reports that tell me one of the strategies of the Russians to try to undermine our democracy is to make us hate each other more. And I just said this to somebody who introduced me. It's really a belief, and it applies to Trump and it applies to me. What we say about other people is more a reflection of who we are than those who we're talking about. And so I always watch when I see people spew such bile. It really talks to the state of their soul more than it is ours. And I think Trump wants to distract us, wants to heap negativity out there into the world, because he thinks that kind of craziness, mishigas that will stem from that, will advantage him. Fear mongering, demagoguery, hate is a oft tried political tool to exploit the darker angels of our nature to elevate yourself. We saw it in everybody from McCarthy internationally. We see it as we stand now. The people who try to assault truth, try to delegitimize the press, and think that anybody who criticizes you is somehow worthy of demonization. And the reality is no side on the political aisle in America has a monopoly on the truth. None of us, starting with me, are perfect and haven't made mistakes. But I remember when I was mayor, I used to take solace. My friends would tell me, well, look, if you're not getting criticized, you're not doing anything in life. If people aren't hating on you. And so I still remember writing this poem. Here we are, back to the arts. And I tweeted it out one night. Let me see if I can remember it. May your critics make you humble. May your haters make you wise. May you learn from every stumble. And when you fall, may you always rise, rise, rise. And so I appreciate it. I tell you, one of my favorite moments as a senator, I was walking past, whenever I walk past my front office, if they're talking to a constituent, I like to grab the phone and talk to the constituent. And it happened to be a guy. I think my staff may have brought him to my attention that just like he had written to me online, F you, and I often do that when I'm on social media, is just say back to the person, I love you. And just you're not going to draw me so low as to hate you or to say negative things about you, because you too have a soul and you have families or whatever. So I just said something really just nice to him and moved on. And he called me back and said he called my office and said, my daughter saw what you wrote back and she was mad at him. And I want to call you and apologize.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I don't agree with anything that you stand for. He goes, I don't agree with anything that you stand for, but I want to apologize. And I said, sir, please thank your daughter, and may her spirit lead us both. And then I said, I want to challenge you that we don't agree on anything. And I started going through the things I was working on as a senator. Like I was able to work across the aisle with Dean Heller, former senator from Nevada, to restore traumatic brain injury centers for veterans. And I said, I spent a lot of time on this. We got it done. Do you disagree with that? And then I started walking through the things I'm doing in New Jersey, from key infrastructure projects that create lots of jobs and all this kind of stuff. I go, sir, this is most of my time. and I just really want to challenge this idea that we don't agree, when in fact, most Americans, especially when you travel the globe and see all the different types of government and stuff like that, the lines that divide us are nowhere near as strong as the ties that bind us. And we should start to remember that. And none of us, I always say all people are mountain ranges. We all have peaks and we all have valleys. And when you're in the public space, I remember Obama said this, your mistakes are magnified. Everybody sees them and everybody makes mistakes. And we need to be a little more graceful with each other and not conclude that we dislike you just because you vote different or have a different party label. Because I'll tell you, we are at a point in our nation, it's funny because they've done studies where they put a policy idea, like a wonky thing out and said, this is a Democratic idea, what do you think about it? And boom, 80% of Republicans immediately hate it. But you think the same idea and say it's a Republican idea, boom, 80% of Republicans like it, 80% of Democrats hate it. We become so reflexively partisan, we're stopping to think even and process and listen. Because I'm going to tell you as a Democrat, we've gotten some things very wrong. Mass incarceration is one of those examples, where Democrats a generation before me, marriage equality, where Democrats, remember Obama even said he had to evolve on the issue.
Yeah,
so
Biden was the one that kind of pushed him on that.
Yeah, yeah. Go Biden. So I just think that the reason why Biden excites me is because here I am on a debate stage going at it with him, but
Mm.
behind the stage, he just said, showed me grace. He understood this is part of the process. So I'm excited to see that those values and virtues modeled from the White House. I can't ever imagine Donald Trump extending grace to people who criticize him or not. You know, as he said, you insult me, I'm going to, you know, he just tries to destroy you, tear you up, lie about you. It's just not what we try to teach our kids is the way our president is behaving. We try to teach them better behavior in the playground.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned mass incarceration. That criminal justice reform is hugely important to our audience and young people in particular. And that's something where, you know, a lot of people would say, you pressed him on it, Kamala pressed him on it. Biden was wrong in the past, right? In the 90s, he didn't have a strong record on that. So what would you say to people? Why should they consider supporting him now or listening to how important it is to evolve on these issues?
Look, first of all, I hope people don't judge me for all the things I did and said 30 years ago. You know, really. I mean, like if you're my age and you want to start back when you were 18 and the things that you thought or said, thank God in my generation they didn't have video cameras up recording everything back then. We're all evolving, and I'm telling you right now, Biden will go a long way with Kamala Harris in tearing down the system of mass incarceration, of doing the kind of things that Obama stood for. Remember, the Biden Obama administration were fighting for, they had a task force of 21st century policing with incredible suggestions that will protect Black lives. They were fighting. In fact, I talked to Valerie Jarrett yesterday, who was a senior advisor in the White House, who was talking about all their work to try to reform the criminal justice system. So I know I know his platform, I know what he stands for, what he says, and I know the work he did as vice president. I'm very confident that this is the ticket that can take us the furthest we've ever been on criminal justice reform.
Now, thank you so much for joining us. You're speaking tonight. It's the last night. That's a big deal. Can you give us a preview of what people should expect tonight?
I just did a lot of the things I said and talked about.
Yeah.
I just want you to know I'm grateful to have a chance to talk with you about things that matter. And I think this might be like my favorite interview, one of my favorite interviews of the year, because we got to talk about Marvel Comics and Captain America.
Yes. We'll
Do you
bring you
watch the
back
show
with Falcon
Supernatural?
and the Winter. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you watch the show Supernatural?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I got to do an interview with the main actors. I mean, Dean and Cal well, I think of Jared and Jensen as their actor's name, but
Right.
I love Supernatural.
Yeah. Well, didn't
So
you were doing something
when I get a
with?
chance to have Castiel.
I was going to say, weren't you doing something with Chris Evans because he has this new political website that he started?
I just did an interview with Captain America. I did.
Yeah.
So these
That's
are like
great.
this is like the blessings of my life is hard work, tough, challenging times, but occasionally I get to hang out with somebody who likes sci-fi as much as I do and talk about it, and then occasionally I get to meet some of my the artists that I most enjoy their work. So that's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, quickly, if you could be one of the Avengers, who would you be?
Ooh, that's so hard. Somebody besides Cap, because obviously Cap is my favorite.
Well, if it's Cap, it's Cap. I'll give you that.
I mean,
I didn't know if you were more of a Tony Stark person. I didn't know if you were more of a Tony Stark person.
I mean, I love all of them, and I love Cap and Tony's friendship, but Captain America is definitely my favorite character.
I love it. I love it. Okay, well, maybe we can do our next interview. Should another Avengers movie come out, maybe we can do it on that.
I would love that. Thank you so much for your time, Senator.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. Take care now.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. Bye.